Okay, all right, okay. Okay, any questions and answers I can take now that will be helpful to you that you want to do here that may help others? Or I can take questions afterwards, or privately with you too. Whoever, somebody just came in, good, you'll mute it, excellent. Any questions, anyone, before I start? We have plenty of time tonight.
Can you elaborate on your email with regards to the actual start date for the PLUS applications?
Oh, yeah, I will elaborate on that when I get to that. I am going to cover that today. I'm covering in detail, and when I get there, I'm going to tell all the angles on it. It's a perfect example of how sometimes when the federal government sets up a process, it's done by people at such a high level, they don't know the effect on a lower level. We've dealt with this now for 5 years. So I'm glad you mentioned that. When I get to that part, if you want to ask questions, please do. I guarantee you others will have the same question. But you're coming at it from the angle where they may not be, and that's why questions come up. So good, we'll get that, Sister Katrina. Anyone else? Anyone else have a question? This is going to be kind of a plus loany, kind of how I'm going to pay kind of session. I thought it should be there. And then also some of the things about May 1st from a parent standpoint, I think they're important. Nobody else? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Those of you who just came in, welcome. I saw you that came in. Who's that? Who's that? Is that, I know Sister Robinson's there. And Sister Carter came in, I saw her. Thank you. All right, let's get going here. Okay, so of course, this is National Decision Day for college. Oh, I should say in the chat, I do have a file copy for you. As I did, somebody check that, see if you see it. If you don't, I have to reload it, but I think it'll be there. The chat, do you see the file? Anyone? Yes. Somebody help me out?
No.
Okay, no problem. Let me see if I can't do something about that. Share for a minute. Stop the share for a second. For you. I'll put it in there for you. Here we go. This is it here. If you put it in too early, it doesn't help nobody. All right, now I think you'll see it in the chat window for your consultation in the future. And as Sister Richardson pointed out, I said I would record this meeting, and I am. So if you want to get a recording of it, just let me know, and I'll send that to you as well. Okay? All right. Let's go back to the meeting here. Okay, so National Decision Day is upon us. It's actually tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Saturday.
Today's April what?
30th, 29th. Oh, so Sunday.
Today's the 29th?
Today's the 29th, Saturday's
Tomorrow's
May
30th, Saturday is May 1st. Now, CSU has said that makes the deadline May 3rd, but be careful because certain CSUs have not changed it. So it depends on which CSU. Don't assume you have till May 3rd unless the school tells you you do. Boy, that was important what I just said. Assume it's May 1st unless you know for sure. And this year, I think the colleges are not going to make any exceptions because they first wavered back and forth thinking there wouldn't be enough applications. But I think a lot of schools got enough applications where they may just use the May 1st date to weed out people who really don't want to go or whatever. So please make sure you make that deposit. It's not always a deposit. Sometimes it's just saying you're coming, right? So find out what it is for your school. And so you have tomorrow to figure that out, to do that. What about multiple deposits? I covered that before. If you start making multiple deposits or multiple exceptions of admission, now how far will you go? Will you continue to deposit for dorm and for orientation? It gets pretty expensive. None of those they have to refund to you as well. So you probably need to actually make the decision, or your student will have to make that decision if it's up to them because you've already certified the amount for school. What about schools extending the deadlines? I covered that a little bit. What if they say, well, we'll give you to the 10th of May? Well, usually it could be a negotiating ploy by the school if you ask for more money. If you didn't ask for more money and you want a deadline, remember, all the schools are not extending their deadline, just the one school. So you need to deposit somewhere else in case that school doesn't work out if you're trying to visit or get more money, whatever reason you're extending, trying to get more time. Remember, ask me questions as I go. What if I change my mind? Then you'll forfeit the deposit. Say you deposited last week, you change your mind and want to go somewhere else, you've just forfeited that deposit, okay? In most cases. Housing and orientation are really the same deadline. Now, I know colleges don't give deadlines for those. Some do when they have limited housing, but the housing services definitely this year, since as of now, the housing has to be socially distanced. There's less housing available. You really need to deposit for housing right away if you haven't already. Orientation may have limited spots too. I've seen that. You need to make sure you get that done shortly after May 1st. Now, I've been warning you all along that those are not covered by financial aid, but at the same time, if you are receiving a Pell Grant on your financial aid, you may be able to quickly call the admissions office and lower those deposits. In some cases, you can waive the admission deposit if you're getting a Pell Grant. But if you don't have a Pell Grant, there will be no extensions given. Unfortunately, you'll have to get that money from somebody, pay them back or something, because they treat it like it's everything. If no financial aid award, you say you don't have your award yet, you still have to decide by May 1st. I know it's the school's fault. Maybe you can talk to me and I can tell you what I expect you're going to get from the school. I'm pretty good at that, actually. I'll be correct within a few $1,000s, and sometimes I'll be right on the amount. Let's see, we're getting questions here. Okay, let me check that out. Oops. All right. Should we ask for an extended deadline if we're in negotiations for money or just pay the deposit? Okay, that's actually, that's Sister Julie. She's extremely observant. She saw how I said it. I was very careful not to answer that unless I got the question. And there's some parents, I just know they would see that. So if you ask for an extended deadline, number one, you need to deposit at another school. Because if you don't get the money you want from that school, you need to know you have another school for your child. Just because that's a ploy they do sometimes when they extend you like that. Okay, just don't fall for it. Say, okay, you can extend it to June 1st. I don't care. But you, meanwhile, go off and deposit for another school, unless you just are, and sometimes you're okay with your student just going to 2-year college. In that case, you don't worry about it. But if you want them in 4-year college, you need to make a deposit at another school. Now, if you deposit at that school, you just blown your negotiation. Once again, if you deposit at that school, you've just blown your negotiation. Because if I'm them, I go, she already gone, don't give her nothing. I hope you understand that. That's a really good question, Sister Julie, and I hope I answered it. Did I? All right. Okay, that was a good one. Really good.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
Thank
good,
you.
good. Okay. These schools, I know how they do. 7 good reasons to not attend a school. You didn't visit, but I gotta say, you gotta be fair about it. If it's a school that had a totally closed campus, okay. But if it's a school out of town and they were open and you didn't visit, I would be a little worried, that you really understand that school. So I visited 10 years ago. Well, remember, school is people, not the school. And I have to say, the thing I don't like about this admission season is that there is not enough visiting of schools in California. Somebody said, well, I took a drive up to the school and drove around. Well, that just tells you around the school. If you did that with some of our schools, you wouldn't attend, right? It's the people on the campus. So there's somebody say, well, I went on the campus, but did you really get presentations and meet people, meet students walking around? Probably not. And this is one thing I don't like about the situation with the California colleges, but I'm not going to run my blood pressure up today. The school is an unbearable cost for the parents. This is where it's very hard on you as a parent. I'll answer that question about May 1st right after this. This is where it's pretty tough on parents. Because if you see your student work very hard and you just can't afford it and it's unbearable, don't do it. Because 75% of the time they'll be back home in a year. Because something will happen in your career and you know you can't do it. And it's never a nice moment when that occurs. And then what a valuable lesson for your student to learn, that they get the school they earn, not the one they want. And this is a hard thing I'm going to say, but it's true. It was really up to them to have the grades they needed to sway the school to give you more merit money. They could be great students. I've had some students that were 2.9, 2.8 in college, in high school, and went on to college and life and are doing great things out in civilization right now. So it's not the end of the world for that student for sure. Now I'm going to answer another great question. The question is almost better than me. What is the deadline? Well, theoretically, it's 11:59, May 1st. The danger with that is you didn't say PST, EST. If it's a school out of town, oops, it's 12 o'clock their time. So if it's an Eastern school, then it's 8:59 here, right? Because that would be 12 back east. So really be careful if that, I think it's Slow Tweez. I hope I said that name right. If I butchered it, please tell me. So that's where you got to be careful. If it's a Western school, you do have that. I like to see people doing that tomorrow first thing before the servers get full, okay? If students will be learning from home, oh, I'm going to talk about that. This question is going to be, if students will be learning from home while in college, why is it important for them to visit? Oh, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Here's something I do not, okay, I said on that first bullet, you didn't visit, so you shouldn't go. But I also said too, we got to be fair about it. They didn't have visit hours or visit times, then that's something you're not going to get to experience. So there you go, you don't visit. That's the answer. And then as for you're just going to be at home, well, you won't be at home 7 semesters. Let's say you're at home first semester, and it's not clear, by the way. Then what about the other 7? And also remember, they're going to offer you, like I said last week, I don't know if you were in, I said they're going to offer you 1 of 3 things in CSU as my prediction. Oh, one of my predictions came true. Does anybody know which prediction came true? Katrina, did you notice, Sister Katrina? Prediction I made about CSU?
They're requiring vaccination?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was right. I knew it was going to happen. I mean, and they're the first public school in the nation to require it. Now I hear 4 others have. Colorado State University is doing it, and
Hampton also.
excuse me?
Hampton also.
Hampton's a private school. Private schools can do whatever they want. There's about 120, now about 150 private schools that are requiring the vaccination. Cornell started it. You remember I told you all here. It's been a steady line of private schools. But public universities, I believe, may be open to lawsuit. They say, no, I don't have to do it. You can't tell me to do it. But see, I think they can actually. So CSU is requiring it. Now that I've said that, Sister Davina, I'm still in the middle of answering you. It may be that you're given an option to vaccinate, come to campus, and you have a 50-50 chance of having a class in person, meaning you'll stay in the dorm, 2 of your classes will be online, 2 will be in person, or they'll offer you to stay home totally. You'll have to pick. So it'll be your choice to be at home and not be on the campus. I hope that cleared it up. I think, but in my world, you should have been allowed to visit. There should have been 1 single or 2 open house days where people could conduct socially distant visits to the campus. And I've let CSU know I disagree with them. I also told you, 2 UCs the same thing, that students should have been allowed to visit. The other reason to not attend is you want to be nearer to home. So you don't go away, because you want to be near home. That fried chicken and that meatloaf is really good, so you don't want to go away to school. Boy, I tell you, my relationship with God will be unacceptably difficult at the school I'm going to pick. That's a huge one. I have to mention that being faith-based, but that's true. If you're flowing good with God and you go to a school that's going to be pretty much not good for you spiritually, that may be a good reason not to go. There's a bird outside freaking out at my cat. There's too much confusion and violence on the campus. That is really an important one. Some of our campuses are quite violent right now, and and quite confused. Just be careful about that. Google the school or talk to me. I do not have a life career path at that particular school. Notice I didn't say major. I never say major. Just because the school doesn't have your major doesn't mean they don't have your career path. Again, these are 7 good reasons to not attend the campus. The coach I want to play for or who recruited me will not be there when I attend. Well, that's a good reason to not go to a school if you're an athlete. This coach that recruited you called you up and said he's leaving. You need to quickly look at another school because things have changed. So I really want to play the sport. All right, we're really going to test that then, so go ahead. Sometimes things change when that coach leaves, when that particular coach that recruited you leaves.
Deacon Wilson,
Take some more questions.
you have a question.
Sure, go right ahead, Katrina.
Can you review how if you pay the deposit, say of $200, you lose negotiation advantage? Sorry, I know you went over it. Can you briefly discuss what the schools are basing late financial negotiations on? Merit? Do most private schools have less money to offer due to the pandemic? And this is from Sister Julie.
Very good. Hey, Sister Katrina, by the way, I see you, Sister Gordon. We'll get you in a minute. Sister, let's see if I answer all the questions. Check me out. I'm gonna do the first one first. Actually, what I said was the admission deposit. If you make that admission deposit, you're tipping your hand. You ask for an extension and you make a deposit, you're tipping your hand that you're coming. A housing deposit is not tipping your hand because that's something a lot of people do. I hope that answers that question. And then let's see, can you said something, can you discuss what the schools basing the negotiations? Oh, okay. The thing that wins the financial aid negotiation is I don't have the money. If you can convince them that your budget does not contain the money, that's how you get. They don't do it just because. It's not in that respect. If you have something significant financially to offer, something people usually don't provide when they're trying to get more money, that they probably should think about it. And that would be your budget. Yep, your household budget. I just leveraged 2 negotiations that way. If you could successfully convince them, hey, this is my budget, I don't have it. That's one way of doing it. And that doesn't matter how much money you make, by the way. On merit, yeah, if a student doesn't have good grades, you don't have great leverage. You only have the financial part if the grades are not extremely high. Now, if the grades are high, you have that leverage, and I would say other heroic things to do if there were a lot of grades involved there. The private schools have, it depends on the private school. The private schools have less money to offer due to the pandemic. They'll say that, but it depends on the private school. Come on. In the words of a famous politician, come on, man. Look, can we talk? I mean, every one of the Ivy League schools, forget the Ivy League schools, there are some schools that have $20 billion endowments, $15 billion endowments, $10 billion endowments. Even a certain Black school has an $8 billion endowment. 2 Black schools have over $2 billion endowments, okay? And endowments are money to just draw on interest. So I don't think, I think it depends on the school's financial posture, whether they're willing to give that money up. And they don't just give it up because you ask for it. You have to have financial need for them to give it up. And I don't think the pandemic has changed that very much in most cases. Although private schools are hurting more financially than public universities, I don't think that's necessarily true. I have to know more about the private school. Now, private schools that are smaller, who don't have large endowments, are not going to give you more money. And I'd like to tell you more about that, but that's a true statement that I made. I've talked to 3 or 4 of them, and I'm not getting them to move very much. But the financial one is really huge. If you can convince them that the EFC is wrong, then you got a chance. Sorry for the long answer. I hope that helped to those questions. So they were also good. I want to answer them right. And then Sister Gordon, will the CSUs wait for FD? No. Well, oh, Sister Gordon, you caught me. What they said was, we're going to require, somebody's phone is ringing. Could you turn it on mute? The CSUs really said, we're going to require the vaccine once the FDA approves it. So you know what I did? I jumped online right away. So I know a lot about this COVID, so I knew where to look. It's an NIH site. And this is going to be a big story in the news in June, because if they reach herd immunity, they're going to approve it. But if their herd immunity is reached, they're going to approve the vaccines. So everybody thinks they'll be approved in time for students to take the spike. So I answered you, but told you why I said it. Students will be learning remotely, will be able to negotiate the cost. Negotiation of costs. Most of you do not have, the CSU will not negotiate with you on cost. I hope that answers that question. Because they feel that the price of their school is an adequate negotiation. And that's it's hard to beat that answer, you know, that they're, the fact that they're CSU and they're lower. Often do private schools offer grants first year? Oh, woo, you guys are like, I like to write a book, the questions I get. The question was, how often do private schools offer grants first year, not the following years? What is the determining factor to ensure grants for 4 years? There is no determining factor, and there are some sneaky, well, you mean the need-based grant. Let me assume you mean need-based, because merit awards are going to be offered 4 years, they won't lie. So need-based grants are based on your income. So you tell me if your income is going to change. Now, if your income stays the same, you'll get the same university grant. But often parents' incomes go up and down, and they might go up, then you lose the grant. So university grants are need-based awards, no matter what they say. There's an exception to the rule. That exception is GW, that offers an alumni award that's neither merit nor is it financially based. I could give more details on it because there are 2 people in here who are sending kids to GW. But so GW, if you get that alumni award, I think you know why you got it. And just leave it at that. I think you know why you received that award. Or that it was that large. I mean, it might have been there, but it was really large for that reason. So hope that answers the question. Schools do try to give you the same award year to year, but if your income goes up, the university grant will go down. What let's see, now how do I say this? Let me ask Sister Katrina, should I be diplomatic when I'm answering questions or straightforward?
Straightforward.
Yikes.
I want to know also.
You don't want the, cleaned up answer.
No cleaned up.
Okay, Sister Latouise, she said you're getting a straight answer. LMU is extremely stingy this year. All right, extremely. The only way they're going to change that award is if you have a reason to show your income was lower than say $70,000. But they were extremely stingy this year, and I let them know what I thought about that. So I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry about that. What can I say? Remember, it's not a large private; it's a smaller private with a smaller endowment. Well, those are good. Okay, those are the 7 right there. But students should pick the school they need and like, not only the one they like and it may be okay. It should be a school they need. There's something about that school that they need to get from the school. Have a career plan for using the college that's chosen, right? Except for engineering, please do not be rigid about your major. Please don't let your students, and you don't, parents, be rigid about a major. Career and major are so different. I did a quick survey of my students and we're out working now. A lot of them are working in something different than major. A lot of you are working in something different. And if you are working in your major, it's likely in the current economy that will not occur. That brings up the subject of what about BA degrees? We're going to talk about that right now. What BA degrees are good to have. It's usually not an important consideration when picking a college. Next session, I'll say a lot more about career than I do today. Here are the most job career flexible BA degrees. Bam. I mean, and as an employer, I have to tell you, I actually look for these majors. I know I'm not getting engineering majors unless I'm going to do math tutoring, right? BA communications, BA biology, BA in business administration, BA in sociology, not social work, sociology, BA in business marketing, and a BA in psychology. And that's for the so-called applied psychology. That's applied to corporations, HR, and things like that. Also to strategic planning in companies. They hire a lot of young students to help them with it. I think it was Amazon that hired 200 BAs in psychology the last 2 years. So how does that actually work? how do those BA degrees map into a career? Let's just take the BA in sociology and the BA in psychology. And they typically they can get into drug counseling, marriage and family counseling easy. Very easy to do that. Just come out, you get a certification from a two-year college, do some clinicals, and you could be working in that. Then you can go for your master's in psychology later. Here's some typical jobs that my students have that had these degrees. Nonprofit office manager, that's a huge one. Social media, that's huge. Public relations director. Do I have event service? I don't have event services there. Event services should be there, you guys. Public relations, communications directors, assistant marketing director. By the way, that's an assistant communications director. Human resources and strategic planning. That's where my students 2 and 3 years out of college with these majors are working. They're working through their careers. How about the BA in biology and chemistry? They could be a teacher, a researcher, health science professional, a pharmacist, and nursing. They go on for additional training, but they can start with those majors. And we've had those kind of conversations already. I just want to show you an example of how a BA degree can map to a career. Because you're not, remember, career and major are different. Just want to give you a sense for that. Okay, I hope that helps. Again, make sure you have a good understanding of the costs before you decide. So for the last time, I'll go through this in a very more of a visual way than I've done in the past. You see who's asking me a question. Can you talk about a social media? Well, I didn't say it was a major. That was my whole point, that it's a job, it's a career, not a major. So a lot of social media managers are, for example, let me go back to that chart to make that clear. What I wasn't clear enough on probably is the issue. I'm saying that these majors here map to these careers. So all of these have mapped students to these kind of careers. Notice none of them are matched to these majors. Major and career are totally different. I can't stress that enough. They are totally different. Okay, so there are a lot of social media directors. My oldest daughter is a great example. Her degree was in English and public relations from George Washington University. She is an extraordinary, though I don't agree with her politics, she's extremely competent. I told her this the other day, social media director. She worked for several large companies and also has a private business for, what do you call it, those people that go to Congress to try to get things passed, lobbyists. But she's great at setting up social media for small companies and for politicians. But was that her major? No. There is no major in social media. I hope you don't expect that careers and majors will ever be named the same thing. They can't. There's no way that they can do that at all. So I hope that helps out. Good question again. Yeah, media, same thing. Media communication. So let me tell you, media studies has several names in other colleges. In UC, they call them media studies, so not to UC. But you also have communication studies, media and communications. All of those are related majors. They're all pretty much the same. And you have the idea that certain majors are in the same department too, you know what I mean? I feel like marketing and media studies are overlapping. You know, I really feel that way. Now, I would hire a media studies major to help me with marketing, so I think they do kind of match. Good point there. There you go. See, the stuff is really good. All right, okay. Let's go down this road again. But here, I want to make sure you understand the cost of your school before you decide, are you doing that right? It's very important. So take the total financial aid, right, which is right here. You take away the parent loan, you take away the work study, and then you have what's called the relevant financial aid is left over, right? Notice I did not say remove the direct student loan. So I think students should pay something for college. You may not, means you got to come up with another $5,500. The direct cost is tuition and the room and board, meaning what's going to be on the bill. And it's not on the financial aid notification most of the time. Most of the time, the schools do not include these on the financial aid award notification, okay? It's negative. If you get a negative number after you do that, let me move this up top here. Get a negative number after you do that, right? Then you owe money for college because you don't have enough money to pay. You don't have enough financial aid to pay for the college here. So when you subtract, you're going to owe money, okay? Here's a live example here. Your total financial aid was $26,500. The parent loan was $2,000. that they offered, which they really can't offer you government money. I always crack up when that happens. Anyway, and like they know how much parent loan they're telling you how much you can.
Did you do your intent to rent?
Yes? Oh, close your mic, I'm sorry. Close your mic there, all right. Okay, minus 20,000, minus the 2,500 for work study, because everybody knows work study is not gonna go toward tuition. It's gonna go right in the pocket of your student and that'll be their spending money. It's not a lot of money. You're talking what, 40, 50 bucks a week. The relevant financial aid for this case will be $4,000. Well, let's look at the school. The school is going to be direct cost of $32,000 for tuition and fees, plus $12,000 for room and board, which is $44,000. But you only have $4,000. Okay, you only have $4,000. This is the total direct cost. This is not minus. It's just saying, I'll say minus when I mean minus. So that means you owe $40,000. Hence, that's why a plus loan is needed. Because you're probably not going to be able to write a check for $20,000 per semester, or 16 or whatever it is per quarter if it's 3 quarters. Okay. Here's another example. Total financial aid is $43,500, and the work study is $2,500. Really, that's financial aid of. I didn't do this right. It should have been subtracted, but it shouldn't be subtracted. What I should have here is, by the way, is that your financial aid is going to be 43,000. Oh, I see. Okay. Total financial aid is 46,000. All right. I'm counting it in this example, but I don't like counting work study, but anyway, let's do it. The tuition and the room and board adds up to 64,000. Means your plus loan will be $18,200. I think it'll be minus 25. I think it'll be added another 2,500 in. So I don't think this work study money will be used. But just to give you the idea, that's your potential parent loan. Again, this school didn't give a parent loan because they want you to figure it out. A lot of schools do not show it because they don't think they should tell you how much your loan should be. So this is a somewhat confusing topic, so I'll take a question. Is this cost for, yes, that's the short answer. It's a private school. So it has no relevance to you. It's so far out, it's like Saturn and we're on Mars. Hope that helps. Let's see, plus loan here, $45,000 total financial aid. This award has a plus loan on it, and it has relevant financial aid of $15,500. I take the plus loan out. I don't think it's, the last one was a mistake. Tuition and room and board is $45,500, but you only have $15,500, right? In financial aid, you're going to owe $45,500. So your parent loan is $30,000. In this case, that was the right amount, but it isn't always. So $30,000 is your parent loan just to pay the direct cost. Be $15,000 a semester, and that's $30,000 a year. But in this meeting, as I promised last time, I'm going to show you and your student how to reduce that over the years. I'll get more into that next meeting, so I'll show you examples next meeting. So there are things that you can do to reduce, to in fact reduce that. Let's see. Can you elaborate on the payment plans? Yes, I will. Stand by. I will definitely elaborate on the payment plans. Boy, that makes me feel good about the view graphs I included here. Wow. The best CC. Let me tell you how I determine the best two-year college. Let me tell you my way of deciding a good two-year college. How many students, blacks, I'm gonna be, okay, y'all said I could be blunt, right? Thank you. I'll take that as a yes. There's 3 metrics that I use for two-year colleges. One is how many black and brown students make it to 4-year college in 2 years. If you do it that way, SMC is not the best in the country. They might be the best at their best students going to UC. So if you want them to go to UC and you want them to be a great two-year college student, you'll send them to SMC. I'm a pretty large influential program. I've not had one student go through, no, I've only had one student matriculate that school and go to a 4-year college. I've had many from other two-year colleges. Number 1, El Camino, number 2, Trade Tech, number 3, Long Beach City College. Those have been my best ones. The second criteria that I look at after seeing how many actually finish and go on to 4-year college is the kind of support they get on the campus. Now at SMC, they say Black collegians. If you know people in Black collegians, like I think you do, there's no way I'm gonna talk you out of it. That's where you're gonna send him, and they're gonna probably treat him good, and that's where you should go. But I find much better overall support from my other students, as you all know, at El Camino Project Success. We're partners. Disclaimer, I'm on the advisory board, but I don't go to the meetings anymore. Isn't that a shame? And the other one is Trade Tech. They're excellent. I just had a great presentation too of the collegiate program at LA City College. They also have a good record. Again, I look at how many Black and brown students actually continue in four-year college and what kind of support they're getting. And the third thing I look at is willingness of the school to fight for your student on academic issues. That's huge. And that goes to the attitude of the instructors. If you have a lot of instructors that feel like they're in a research environment, don't really teach, they're a little supercilious. Oh boy, I used the word supercilious. Anyway, a little vain and arrogant, I guess. But again, if you have access to people in a school and you know people there, you may not have that experience. I tend to want students to go to schools where I don't have to intervene if I'm a parent. So I'm gonna fire and forget, I got a life. But if you really do have people that you know in Black collegians, go for it. I know people in that organizations too, and my students have not been able to do extremely well there. So it may be a very good two-year college, and it may be by somebody's reckoning the best in the country, but we have some pretty good two-year colleges in California, I'm telling you. I hope that wasn't too long of an answer. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Here's that chart, Sister Lotuise. Lotuise, am I saying your name right? I better be, I hope I am.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Can you pronounce your name?
Yes, it's lotus like the flower.
Oh, I've been saying your name wrong all night.
No, that's okay. Most people do. It's okay.
Oh, but I don't want to be most people. I want to be Deacon Wilson. So Sister Lotus,
Okay, it's lotus.
so Lotus, here's an example of a payment table for the plus loan. I hope that helps. So let's look at it together. Yes, the first column should be four-year loan amounts, right? If you have 40,000 a year, 160,000 is your loan, for example, which is quite common for high-priced private schools. Your monthly payment is going to be $1,876 for 10 years. The interest you're going to pay is $65.11. You might as well buy a house because it's $225,111 after they leave school and hopefully when you're still working. So that's $225,000 for $160,000. But this table tells you the actual amount you'll be paying. I have a typical CSU marked off at 30 to 40,000. You can look at that. That seems a little bearable, 469,000. Then the
I have a quick question.
private,
Your
yes.
rate on your last meeting.
It was 4.53, I know.
So it has come up.
So
I mean, it still is low.
it's stuck in committee, right? It's stuck in committee in Congress.
Okay,
I anticipate a lot of fighting in Congress because they're putting some very high cost bills up. When that's happened in the past, my middle class parents are screwed. If they don't ever pass this, and I look carefully at the most recent proposals by the president, it was not there to reduce the Parent Plus loan. Instead, it's going for Pell Grants and things like that. I think that's not good for middle class parents. So I'm getting more, what this chart reflects, Sister Katrina, is I'm afraid it's going to divert to what it was going to be. Remember, the COVID one was 4.53, right? And I would like the COVID one to continue. But it expires and Congress has to do something before June 30th.
is that why
There's nothing in-
the loans
excuse
won't
me,
be?
Say it again.
confirmed? Is that why the loans are the applications is based then waiting on the panel? Because you were
That's a
saying,
good, yeah, I'm going to cover that in a minute.
okay,
I think that's the colleges not doing their job. That's a different issue.
Okay.
But it's interesting you brought they're two non-related things that are happening. So one thing that's happening to screw my middle class parents, I always like to say that, is that the interest rate may revert to pre-COVID 7.22 because they have not ruled on that. They had all these bills that got passed and it wasn't in there. And I think one side, the side you don't like, was proposing it, but the side you love did not put it in. A theory about why I should say that most people like anyway. I try to stay non-political in these meetings, but it is very political, this issue. So this is the chart if we revert back to the rates. that we had before COVID.
Can these payments be made early? So, I mean, if I wanted to make payments on the loan, can they be made early, or do you?
Did you
just
say
pay
should
them?
they or can they?
I said, can they?
They
Not
can
should.
be.
Okay, should
Ask
they?
me- Yes.
Okay,
I'll say more about that in 2 weeks.
okay,
I think parents should pay interest on their loans while they're in school.
okay,
And they'll lower that, like, for example, for this 160,000, you could lower that to like 15,000. That 65,000 down here that you're paying interest over 10 years.
yes,
I've seen people do that like me. I did my daughter's plus loan in basically 3.5 years. And it was a very small plus loan, but I didn't play around with it.
okay,
So yeah, you could make payments. I think students should too. We're not discussing the student direct loan today, but I think they should make interest payments. But their loan is far less than this loan. This is why, as I told you all 2 weeks ago, I see those questions, by the way. This is why 2 weeks ago I told you I'd throw my slipper at the TV when they say the problem is student loans. The problem is not student loans in this country. The problem is parent loans for private schools. There, I said it. Can't believe I said that out in public. That's the problem. That's where the middle class parents are being screwed. Excuse me. Sorry for my language. Let me pick these questions up out here in the chat, because they're all very good. I think you learn as much from them as you do from me. Let's see. Can you briefly discuss? Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have no effect. I will briefly discuss the Biden's proposed cancellation of student loans and a reduction. I've studied it extensively. I'm so glad I got this question. When I saw Sister Romaine was here and Katrina was here, there was a bet placed in Vegas. Which one of you would ask that first? And I think I won. I think I thought Sister Julie would ask, because I didn't include those viewgraphs because I thought they weren't relevant. Here's why. The proposal is on people who've already gotten loans. It will not affect you all at all if they decide to cancel student loans. And I don't think you should pick your college thinking there will be cancellation, because it's not clear that it's constitutional under Article 8 of the Constitution.
I have a.
It has to go to the Senate.
For
It'll have
those
to-
of us who
I'm
have an older child, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, there you
Some
go.
of us have.
Nice
children in
recovery there.
school
Nice
already.
recovery there. I won my bet still. Good. Aren't you impressed? I knew you do that. Let's see. As far as kids already in school, I don't know that it's legal to do it. For everybody I've talked to, I have a real good friend in Department of Education, and they're thinking it's not legal to do it, that I have to go to Congress. And there is some, get this though, this is interesting. There are many Republicans that would like to cancel some of the student loan debt, a nice amount of it, but they want something in return. And let me tell you the things I've heard in the past. They want students to have to do volunteer work because they don't think it's fair to those students who already paid off their loans. Like I know students who ate oatmeal all day to pay their loans off. And we need to do something for them, to a tax credit or something. So typically the Republicans want some kind of credit for students that already paid off their loans, and if they're going to be canceling loans. So it could go to Congress and you just get something different. It will take longer because I don't think that one side is really motivated to talk to the other right now with this 50-50 situation and an inability to get certain two senators to agree to cancel the filibuster. So I think that there's going to have to be extreme negotiations, and those always take forever in Washington. I don't think cancellation of current students in school is, I think that won't happen either. Anybody who's in school now, this is going to be only people who paid off their loans, who have finished school and still owe loans. That's where most of the concern is politically. I've never heard anybody talk about students in school at all. I'll pay close attention to that issue, as I am even closer to see. It's not even in committee. I follow the education committee subcommittee all the time, and they're not even talking about that right now. They're talking about the Pell Grant increase, which is actually screwing the middle class. I can explain that another time if you want. What are some great coverage? Well, there's no, you're just gonna, the federal government. What are some great loan service companies to select from? The federal government is your only selection, thanks to the last administration, 2010. You can only get your loan from the federal government. The parent loan can only be taken from the federal government. Now, if you decide to go to a bank, it's going to be 14% interest or more. I think you'll stay with the government. Hope that answers that question. Another good question. I have to say, you know what I'm going to say. This is Marcus Moore, my man. Just let him in here. Okay, other payment alternatives. How about that? How about loans against your 401k or 403b or deferred? That should be 457. Sorry for the typo, everybody. You can take loans against that. Now, I would not do the following bullet, which is withdrawals. Because if you're doing it for education, they just changed the law in the last administration. You can do that without a tax hit, by the way. You can withdraw or do loans against it. It will not be a tax hit, a penalty for doing that. If you're doing it for education, I think up to some ungodly high amount. I think during COVID, they did that too as well. So you're doubly covered there if you want to take a loan against your 401k, your 403b, or your deferred 257. These are alternatives to the plus loan. Loans from a relative, there could be strings attached. I've heard some ugly stories about that. You can ask me offline. Can you raise your income? Is there a way for you to raise your income? That would be an effective lowering of your parent loan, wouldn't it? Payroll withholding change, that would be an effective lowering of your plus loan. Just remember, you're going to get a tax credit for the student in school, and you're going to get some tax deductions for things you pay for the student in school. Maybe those changes allow you to change your payroll withholding, which then can lower your plus loan. Talk to your accountant about that or do the math on your W-4. Maybe HR can help you. Major budget reductions. Your siblings are in schools. Do they have to be private? How's private school working out? Are they getting the grades? That's the typo it should be is. How's private school working out for the siblings? Technology reductions, cable, internet. There are a lot of ways to arrange those. I made a simple change and went to YouTube TV, and I saved like $70 a month on my cable. I went right to internet. Car sales and payoffs. You have extra cars. With your students going away, they're not going to take their car. You'll see why in a minute. That might be a chance for you. You're looking for cash in this example here. The most creative one I've ever heard was a parent that used all of their points they have for air travel whenever they're bringing their kids home from school. Plus loan dilemma. I said I would spend time on this. Since Katrina, have I gotten to the thing I told you I get to?
No, but I think this is it.
I think we're getting there. Okay. I think so too. Here's how the dilemma happens. This is based on the email that I sent you. I didn't put a lot of details in there. I just want to let you know about it. Parents and students determine that a plus loan is needed to pay for college. So you make that determination, the way I showed you earlier in the program. Gee, we need a plus loan. They cannot apply for the plus until June or July. It's supposedly a federal law. Now, let me tell you what I know about this. It's not really a federal law. There is a way around it. I went to Sonoma State, for example. There was a longtime financial aid director. You know what she used to do for me? She would run us students for the plus loan in April and May for the parents as a convenience. I had a financial aid person at Bakersfield that did that too. So they can actually do that with your permission early, but they don't do it. They claim they're too busy and they can't do it. They told one of y'all July. One of y'all on here right now told you July. They can't do it till July. And some say June, and they claimed it was a federal law. I do not believe it's a federal law. I've not seen that, but every year it's different. Like how come GW says you can do it in May 10th? Okay, so why are they doing it so early? So I don't think it is. I think it's up to the school's financial aid office. And let me see about good old Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is pushing a bill for free public universities to your colleges. Well, you guys are good. I guess I can't get out of that, Sister Gordon, by saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I do know what you're talking about. So you said, do I believe it will go anywhere? I believe it will. I believe there'll be some form that will happen. You didn't ask the question I thought you would ask. Do I think it should? I'm making a video on that right now. I am not in favor of making public universities totally. In fact, the individual states can do it. In fact, California has already done it pretty much. I don't think the federal government needs to do it. I think 6.3 trillion is enough money to do other stuff. I wouldn't like to see it. Here's why. I have very reliable sources at El Camino College that say the minute they do that, they're going to raise their tuition. They're going to double the tuition. And middle-class parents will not be eligible for these. Read the fine print on that bill they're pushing. It's only for low-income students. Now, lately I heard the Biden administration saying it's universal, but then I read the bill. I actually read the bill. It didn't say that. It said it'd be need-based. So I have to believe it'll be need-based, which means it's it's making your fees go up as a middle-class parent, right?
Okay, I have a question.
So I think it will go through, but I don't agree with it.
I have a quick question.
Lynette, go ahead. Yes.
I know this is a church-based group,
Mhm.
but middle class, then we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, basically. I
Yes, you
mean,
are. And that's not a swear word. I agree with you totally.
So do we have to basically eat grits and cornbread every day and fake it? Why can't we?
So I think that the way middle class parents are treated in the area of education explains why we have a Bernie Sanders and a Donald Trump. They're tired of Washington. It explains each side had its version of revolt against Washington, didn't they? Right? I think that's why we have it. We had to people are tired of these politicians in DC that get in there and don't think about the middle class. I think it's happening again if you read those bills closely that are proposed. They're fixing to squeeze us, y'all, in the middle class. So yeah, you're not swearing. You are. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. It appears you make too much money. What's the deal? Make too much money to get all the stuff they're giving out, and not enough to write a check. That's what I want to say. That's partially what I'm telling you, Sister Gordon, about why I don't like increase. Why you didn't ask about this, but that's why I don't want to see the Pell Grant increased. Because in California, students don't pay anyway for college who are below a certain income. Now you're going to give them more money. So guess what CSU is going to do, everybody? What is CSU going to do you think, Sister Katrina? What do you think CSU would do the next day after the government does that? They'll raise their tuition.
Yeah, they're going to increase the tuition.
Because they know they won't be hurting the poor kids. They'll just take it off the middle class. All right, it's hard for me to stay non-political when you guys do this stuff, but those are legitimate questions that parents who are paying for college should be thinking about right now. I don't see any reason why it's a bad subject. This student accepts and deposits for admission, assuming the PLUS loan will pay a significant portion of the cost. So they've determined they need a PLUS loan. They can't apply for it to June. The student accepts and deposits for admission May 1st, which is coming up, assuming that the PLUS loan will pay a significant portion of the cost. Then the PLUS loan is denied in June or July. That should be or, not of. I'm sorry, you guys. I'll correct all the errors like I usually do. I reissue it. Even with the additional $4,000 in loan aid for student, when there's a disapproval, student cannot pay for college. Student attends a 2-year college because it's too late for a 4-year college. That's the PLUS loan dilemma. The dilemma being you're asked to accept admission to a school and you don't know whether you're approved for the loan. But the purpose of the actual presentation, I could not cover the email. The purpose of this presentation is to show you how what you do if you're not approved for a loan, things like that, okay? I want to cover that right here. Why does it happen? First of all, parents and students are unable to see if the parent loan is approved well after May 1st. And I don't understand that. Paying for school is highly dependent. Wait a minute, I want to go back to that bullet. Somebody asked me last year, do you think it's that the politicians and the people in the Department of Education don't know about this? Or they know about this and don't feel it's a problem? Or just what do you think? I don't know. I think they just don't know in DC. I think there's a certain bug that bites you in DC when you don't know things. You don't know things. You're sitting there in DC and you don't know anything. They need to have experts come in and talk to them. I have this dream that I'll be testifying in front of one of their committees. I have 15 things to make college better. This is one of them. Allow for pre-approval of PLUS loans. Wouldn't that be a good change, parents? Paying for school is highly dependent on the PLUS loan, maybe too dependent, huh? Not enough time to sort through all the offers and understand them completely, then pick a more affordable school. More on the PLUS loan dilemma. Why are PLUS loans declined? There may be delinquencies, debts totaling $2,085 or more that are over 90 days overdue. That one's the most correctable by appeal, by the way. Have no bankruptcy debt discharges, loan defaults, student aid, debt write-offs, and foreclosures and repossessions, wage garnishments, or tax liens less than 5 years old. Well, about 49% of 49% of applicants, according to the Department of Education, fall into these categories, especially now with COVID having hit, people lost their jobs, et cetera. No, there's not a COVID provision to approve the plus loan to get their job back. Applicant is not the parent or legal guardian. It has to be the parent or legal guardian for the plus loan to be approved also. So that right there is how, it's not a lot of things. I mean, for 2010, it was harder to get a plus loan. And you have to have something extreme on your record in the last 5 years. And these are not terribly uncommon, by the way. Some of us in our lives have had these things happen, and they do occur for all kinds of reasons. But the first bullet is the one most likely on appeal you can correct, because you can talk to the creditor and get it removed, set up a payment plan, it can be removed, and then you can apply again. It takes about a month and a half, 2 months if you appeal for that reason. And if you finding you need to do an appeal, you'll get a hold of me. There's, you can appeal, but you should probably talk with me first. Approval is not likely unless something is wrong, right? How can a parent reduce? Okay, I'll take a question there. I'll be very discreet when I take it. I won't say who. Yeah, you can appeal. You can appeal it. I explained that just now. You can appeal it. A plus loan can be appealed. Right down the bottom there. You can appeal. Talk to me first. Approval is not likely unless something's wrong. I mean, if you're in that delinquency category, you can probably get they'll tell you why when you call the number, why it wasn't approved. Remember, it's a federal loan. How can a parent reduce the parent loan? I mean, this is kind of like that other view graph, but a little different. Higher down payment, make interest payments while the student's in college. We talked about that earlier, right? Which is why I was shocked I got that question. Higher down payment for the college, I mean here, right? That means you get a lower plus loan, right? So like if you have money saved up, a higher down payment reduces the parent loan, that interest you have to pay. Make interest payments while the student's in college. Reduce by significant house rebudgeting. Reviewing the school should be done. Yeah, by the way, this is why I put this back up here. Post-COVID, you should probably look at all the schools of your students, how they performed. It's a private school, how they performed during COVID. It's especially a private school. That's something you should be looking at. They should have been really well ahead of other schools. So you're paying money for tuition. Can you make additional or get additional income? You can keep your youth home for the first semester. I think we talked about that earlier. That will save 1/2 of 1 year of plus loan payments, right? You'll save a nice little amount there if they're going to be home anyway. If they give you the option, select that option being home. And of course, students may not be too hip to that, and that's fine. You could delay their start, but still you wouldn't save any money on the plus loan, right? So they still need the same amount of semesters to graduate. That's something you need to talk over with your youth, because they're tired of being online. I would let them alone, let them do something else first semester and start them later if your school will allow it. And they may just allow it this year, right? Ask the youth about, I love this, EEP principles for college debt reduction and finishing school in 4 years less. So obviously I'm going to present that just now, okay? How can a student behavior reduce to 4 years of parent loans? Well, they can take general education classes in the summer. I'll talk about that in a moment. We have classes this summer from LA Trade Tech, 4 different classes. I'll show you the 4 classes in a moment. By the way, they're going fast. I was surprised. I don't have Christina here today to tell you about it, but they're going really fast, particularly from students already in college or grabbing those spots. We didn't expect that. And we're also seeing a lot of grab by 10th and 11th grade high school students. So don't linger too long with this decision. Be active on the campus, find roommates. Ooh, that's important. If you're not active on the campus, you won't find a roommate. You'll be back in that dorm again, and it costs more than if you rent an apartment across the street with a student, right? Usually apartments right near campuses. You can lower your costs dramatically. Did that with my daughter at Boise State. You can live off campus for 3 or 4 years. For years 3 through 4, excuse me. Actually, you can live off campus in 2 through 4. It's a little tougher as a second year student. I don't feel they're as ready to take on that full responsibility, pay utilities and do all that, but they sometimes are. If they can, it will save you a boatload of money, parents, on your plus loan. That's a big one for my oldest daughter. No car until 2 years of 3.25. See, it costs 3.25 twice to buy a car, bring a car. And even then, be careful. especially if your student is a nice person. They want to give everybody a ride, right? Especially my guys. No fraternity or sorority until the third and fourth year. Hazing is real. So I feel like a first year student or a second year student, when somebody, if they're standing at a bus stop and somebody says, hey, I have a question, they'll say, what? But a third year student, what? That what is what keeps them from getting hazed. Hazing is real. I deal with it, dealt with a lot. With my students in college, I think when they're older, it's harder to haze them. Work for sure in the summer in years 2 through 4. Work during the school year, years 2 through 4, and work in the summer. Save your money. Visit financial aid and scholarship office regularly. Remember, these are ways to reduce the plus loan. Tutor in the academic center. Ooh, if you can tutor in the academic center, they're going to give you a boatload of tuition credit. Look for campus opportunities to lower tuition or dorm. You can work for summer programs or you can be an RA. Everybody thinks RA is the only way to reduce costs. That's not been my experience. It's really actually quite hard to be an RA. But if you are an RA, it does reduce costs. But they don't do it, reduce it for the dorm, right? But summer programs, they'll really let you take classes for free and knock off tuition for you too. Okay? That's a nice little list. Parents, you can make this list something they have to do before you agree to do the plus loan, right? They have to agree to do some of these things. Very important. Any questions on that? Let's see. Let's see if I have any questions. No questions. Okay. Good stuff.
Deacon Wilson, I have a question in terms of the summer classes. I'm sorry, this is Sonia.
Yep, there they are.
We need to make sure that whatever class is going to transfer to their school before we.
It's a no-brainer if you're in UC, CSU, or any accredited four-year school. If you stick to, first of all, my courses are always going to transfer. Second of all, when you do a 2-year college, they'll tell you if it's UC, CSU transferable, 98% of private schools accept them. The schools you want, I know that you have to watch out for, Morehouse and Spelman, they don't take credit.
Okay, so any of these that you're offering will just count toward general, their
Yes.
general education.
If I'm offering it, I know it will.
Okay.
But there's plenty of others other than ones I offer, right?
Okay.
Yes. Just look for that mark that says CSU UC.
Okay. Thanks.
Question. Anybody else? Just speak right up. It's easier for me if you do that. Or if you want to do the chat, you can if you want to have privacy. Somebody just did that. So let me look and see. Okay. Sister Hernandez. That's interesting you'd ask that. I'm going to tell you right now they're online, but I got to tell you, I had a meeting with Bishop today, and he really is itchy for me to give him a plan to get in person in my classes because you realize students are having emotional issues. So I'm going to say these classes are online. They may be hybrids. Maybe they're the teachers teaching in our place. It's online too. I hope that helps us to Mr. Hernandez. I hope.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, good. That was a good question. It's too good. Just talk to Christina. She'll help you out.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank
And
you.
in general, is the truth. Get a hold of Christina on this. She's my project lead on this. And she's doing a most excellent job. She's studying for tests at her college right now. That's why she couldn't be with me tonight. But she's doing a most excellent job. Other important prep for college. Oh, yes. Our summer bridge program. We have some strong college prep courses for students. These are not for credit, but I believe you have to think about it. If you're going to be a pre-med major, I have 2 super preparers for that pre-med major that will get your student ready to take a college biology course. I guarantee you college biology, you've never had anything like it. Even if you had AP biology, the biology course in college is in another level. We believe in getting students ready to take that course. Every student that's taken biology prep has gotten an A or B in biology. And if you can find a way to take it in 2-year college and take my prep class, you're going to be bad. They're going to be bad, y'all. Ready to go. I'm getting a question here. Okay. Yes, I would say calculus prep. I would say, based on what I know about her, or college math. I'm teaching both of those classes. So that might be what I would look at. It's a 5-week course, 2 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week. And I'll get them really ready to take math, and especially if you're going to CSU where math is so important there, okay? Okay, so those are our summer bridge course. That summer bridge package will drop this week online. We'll send you an email when it drops. We've cut all of our courses 50% if you order before June 1st. We have a significant reduction, and we want to fill those classes. We want to help students do better in school next year and the younger ones, and get our college students ready for school. So we're really ready to do it. Some of these college courses may get to be some in person, because we're itching to get in person with your students safely. We have on our team, my daughter who works for the County Department of Health, and her group does nothing but help schools get back in business. So she's already diagrammed out how we use the crystal room, and that's a big room, Sister Katrina. I think we can do some good social distancing in there. What do you think?
I think so.
I-
For sure.
Yeah, for sure, you said, right. Well, we think so too. And there are people that agree with me there too. Let's see. Yes, they definitely transfer to UC. They definitely transfer. If I was a high school counselor, I would question it, because I'd be not wanting your student to do that. But your student's done well, so they're all UC CSU transferable. He's going to be in really good shape. That's a very educationally envious position to be in, Sister Julie. And I think that don't listen to the sum. It's a great move, and you made a good decision, like you did with your other student. You've made great decisions with your students, and I would be. You're kind of like an expert, so you don't have to listen to other people. All right, I hope that helps. That's my perception of you anyway. Not pretty good at that kind of thing. Let's see, you'll find it at www.weststate.org when we drop our package. There'll be fireworks going off, emails being sent, social media, Facebook, tweeting. We'll be telling everybody about that. You're going to find out about it some kind of way. Let's see. You're welcome. Okay, so let's continue on. We're almost done. There's some college early enrollment. Oh, this is good. I don't think I've ever done this. I don't know why I haven't. My cat's here, sorry. I don't know why I haven't done this. Please live on campus for your first 2 years. Oh my goodness. That's a father's thing, okay? I'm sorry I'm a dad, can't help it. I want you to be on the campus the first 2 years, your student. I really think they need to be. Don't try to save that money so much. If you can get them on safely off campus, the second year, fine, but never the first year. Please do not work, I tell students, their first year of college. It's not really making any money. It's not, some parents feel they're gonna make enough money to pay on the bill. It's not gonna be enough for their spending money. College has really changed since we went to school. There's no way they're going to help much with it anyway. Here's some class registration sub rules. I have more rules about registration, but here are the ones that jumped off at me today. Avoid taking biology and chemistry in the same quarter or semester. You're just asking for trouble. Take classes that you took before in high school and did well. Now, a lot of students don't understand that. I already took that. I want to take something different. So I'll take, Hungarian philosophy. Not a good idea. Take things you did well on. If you're good in history classes, take history for college credit. The name of the game is to go for grades, right? Get tutors early in classes, which you have always struggled. If you always struggled in math, when you walk out that door to college, that little math imp is going to follow you. So since you know that ahead of time, since you're aware of that, then you should get some help. Plan early to get a tutor. Find out where on the campus. In orientation, they'll tell you, where do you go to get math tutors? And you just live in that math area. Math home there. Turn off your mic there, Marcus. So get tutors early. Plan class picks so you meet SAP. What's SAP? It's satisfactory academic progress. You want a 2.5 GPA and 12 credits per semester. If you don't do that, if you miss either requirement, you'll be placed on probation. And probation, the next step is if you probation again, you're out of the school for a year. So you want to prevent stop out by meeting satisfactory academic progress. Okay. How about some talk about sponsorships of West AEEP? For members, we are going to have a West Angeles sponsorship program. We had suspended it. I just had a great meeting with Bishop today. We've reinitiated it. And so we'll have a lot to say about that very soon. But here's what's going to be. It's going to be active members of West Angeles or our youth program or our education enrichment program. So if a student is active in our education enrichment program, not necessarily as a church member, they may still get an award on the sponsorship. Every case is different. I have to tell you at the time, although I'll email people who I know are members or have some connection to membership. Okay, that's our sponsorship program. For non-members, we have a special lady I get to mention this time every year named Gwen Thomas. I think that Katrina, you may know Gwen Thomas.
Yes.
She's
Beautiful
a great lover of my program. And I can't believe when she passed away suddenly in her will, me and the program were mentioned. And she specifically wanted non-members to get this award, but she knew there were non-members who were not getting awards in our program, and it bothered her. But they have to have 3.5 GPA and be active in the meetings. I have to say, though, the amount of the awards are lower. It is pretty consistent. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at students who are active April through June in our program for priority. Those who aren't able to make the meetings or in any way, it's not going to be as considered. The GPA requirement, unfortunately, is set by the family. So I'd be breaking the law if I jumped on that. I have to know them to approve me for waivers if people are 3.0, but they have to have it on their transcript, and it has to be unweighted. There's more consideration for earlier activity on our program. Say if you're active on the program in some way, I would say the trade tech classes is an example. In some way active with our program, it's going to help you to get consideration. But they're 2.8, 9, 7. I actually want to keep my job, so I better not do those. We may have other chances for those students. Stand by the people donating to my program at a very high level right now. And they're targeting a lot of it to enrichment, but it wouldn't be much to say to them, hey, we'll take scholarship donations. So we'll see about that. I'll keep you up to date on this. But visit our website. I can't believe I didn't say this earlier, but I'll say it now. Search our website for scholarships. Go to our website, move your cursor along the top and look for scholarships. Click on that. When you do the scholarship site, scroll all the way down. We have a partner, Educate California, that has a nice link there, has nice scholarships, and also our relationship with Scholarship Plus, that organization. You'll find some nice scholarships in there you can apply for. Your student needs to be motivated. Maybe that's a condition that you'll put on your student for doing a plus loan. They need to be looking for scholarships. Even though the scholarships won't pay for the direct costs, they'll take care of some of that indirect costs. You don't have to worry about that and can concentrate on paying the direct cost. What we're going to cover in future meetings, we're going to cover the enrollment process. I'm going to talk a lot about housing the next meeting, a lot about the orientation, what goes on at those. We'll talk about verification one more time. I'm going to show you how to apply for a plus, because remember, you can't do it till later anyway. Talk about the importance of orientation, how to pick a roommate, final first semester deposit, class registration, purchase books, and dorm move-in. I'll have sessions on all of those. And I did get a confirmation that Corliss Bennett will be with us to show you how to prepare academically for college. And that's going to be a required session to be eligible for scholarships or sponsorships from us. So you're going to be watching for that email. We're going to set up a separate page to RSVP for that meeting. And she's asked me to do some things to prepare. She's an excellent speaker. I think some of you know about her. And she'll be really getting the students ready to be in college. She's an unbelievable, one of my favorite people. She's defeated cancer twice now. And she is just terrific, will be a great speaker for our students. Let's see. No. Chanel, no. You know why we don't?
Why?
Because I have to read them. I don't feel like reading them.
That makes sense.
I know, that's true. Me and Donnie don't feel like reading them. So we base it on other factors, like your activity with our program. We don't want to give a scholarship to church members who are not active in the program or active in Donnie's youth department. Okay. Let's see. Are we able to talk after this meeting? Do you have time? Well, the second question, I always have time. Right after, I'm going to see Sister Hernandez here in the room. If you want to wait, I think we'll be able to talk fairly quickly. I don't know. If it isn't, then I'll just get back to you later tonight, even though I'll just stay up late and do it. Okay. So we're going to talk, looks like it. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Are there any other questions? I think this is actually my last view.